Greetings and welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup. I see my audio volume is a little low there. I didn't get every chance to test everything. I rolled into town like less than an hour before the show started because, yeah, even Starlink wasn't working on top of the mountain today for whatever reason. Of course, I get down here, get everything ready, throw Starlink up to sea, and it works. Works when I'm here in the city. I think there was possibly some Starlink network outage or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, I had to come off of my beautiful solitude mountain back amongst the some meetings with our new kitchen staff because there's a lot of people that are just stepping in to help with the circumstances that happened. So that's exciting. Not the week I have anticipated, but it is a week that we were given. So we work through it. Also, last week's Weekly News Roundup was a limited monetization. So if you want to help support with, like, I know we have Rumble rants over on Rumble and we have Super Chats over here. I know Odyssey just did something new with money. I don't got time to look at it right now. Eventually I will. But we are going to chat about that in a little bit. Before we get into that, of course, let me see, is there anything else I wanted to cover before we go? This week, there will also be a reduced video schedule. I'll get out some if I have a chance, but I really am prioritizing right now getting all of our processes and procedures in place because I was pretty much left with nothing and the camp must go on. So we are going to push through. And let's go ahead and get started right on into the news. If I can find where my main news feed is. And so we are talking three different topics. Of course, our first one today is personally identifiable information is getting completely out of control. I think everything is getting completely out of control. I think we can probably all agree on that. So today I just have two articles in this. So it's probably a whole lot more. Of course, we could throw the McDonald's article in this. I threw that under quick lines. We'll get into that one. But right here, a major AI training data set contains millions of examples of personal data from MIT. This is actually the data set that has been used to train almost all of the AIs that are out there. And what they found, the researchers found, and they looked in only 0.1% of Common Pool's data pool, and they found thousands of valid identity documents, including 800 validated job application documents with full information, millions of images of passports, credit cards, birth certificates, and other documents containing personally identifiable information, all likely included in one of the biggest open source AI training sets new research has found. Now, a lot of it came from web scraping, and this just means that bots got on the internet and scraped a bunch of stuff. So how did bots find all of this personally identifiable information? I don't think millions of people are putting passports, credit card pictures, and birth certificates on the internet. As foolish as I think most people are, I'm pretty sure most people realize that's probably a no-no. So it's interesting to see a data set come out with so much of this information. Where'd it come from? Well, it came from breaches. It came from backdoors. It came from databases that were not secure because these web crawlers just look all over the place for anything they can get, and they sketch it up just like, some homeless bum digging through trash cans in New York City, So with all of these personally identifiable information, they included identifiable faces. Now, the data set was supposed to blur people's images, but it failed to do so most of the time. Some of the data sets are images of children. Major AI training sets for the image generation scraped out from the web. A lot of those came from like Facebook or other places like that. And the researchers found thousands of instances of validated identity documents, including 800 validated job applications. So they confirmed via LinkedIn or other web searches as being associated with real people. A number of resumes disclose sensitive information, including disability status, the results of background checks, birth dates, birthplaces, dependents, and race. So what they did is in 2023, Datacomp Common Pool had 12.8 billion data samples, was the largest existing set of publicly available image-text pairs, often used to train generative text-to-image models. While curators said the Common Pool was intended for academic research, its license does not prohibit commercial use as well. It draws on the same data source, web scraping done by nonprofit Common Crawl between 2014 and 2022. And since Datacomp Common Pool has been downloaded more than 2 million times over the past 2 years, it's likely there are many downstream models all trained on the exact same data set. And what do we do about it? The only thing we can do about it right now is immediately pull data off the internet, immediately kill all AI platforms, immediately nuke every bit of training data, and start completely scratch. That is the only thing we can do. Our data is captured by the AI. We have to recognize that, and please be nice to ChatGPT. You don't know when it's going to turn on you. I mean, really. The researchers say good intentions are not enough. And this is what I've said over and over. All these tech bros that come out with all of this nonsense, they're all coming out with, what about we just got to solve the problems of the world. Dude, you're not going to solve the problems of the world because the problems of the world are inside of your heart. They're not things that are solved by an external machine. You give us an improved means to reach our deteriorating ends. We will reach the end faster. We will reach destitution faster. We will reach homelessness and joblessness and lifelessness faster because of this. You can assume any large-scale web scraping data analysis always contains content that shouldn't be there, says Alba Burhane, a cognitive scientist who leads Trinity Data College Dublin's AI Accountability Lab. So Datacomp Common Pool themselves were aware that likely personally identifiable information would appear in the data set. It did take some measures to preserve privacy, including automatically detecting and blurring faces. But in their limited data set, Hong's team found and validated 800 faces the algorithm had missed, and they estimated that the algorithm had missed 102 million faces in the entire data set. So that's kind of where we're at. We're in a world where all of these data scrapers go online and all of them are scraping all of this individual data, and there's nothing else to do about it. But wait, there's more, because now a new startup wants to take personal data that was stolen by malware companies and now sell it to other companies. Yeah, and they're alleging this is legal. It's not. I hope that these people are like severely captured, ripped of everything, and share a prison cell with Bubba or something. But a tech startup is using personal data stolen by InfoStealer malware it has found on the dark web and then selling access to the data. So, of course, InfoStealers are what they install to harvest as much data from your computer or your phone as possible. They all basically get on the system, watch everything you do, report everything back to a command and control server. So the data is available in huge quantities, it says. A professional subscription-based version of the service offers access to include anything that an InfoStealer can pilfer, including cryptocurrency wallet data, browser histories detailing sites you visited, usernames, passwords, and those sites and browser cookies that criminals could use to impersonate you on a site. Customers can also get access to a list of applications on a person's computer using the InfoStealers. The service doesn't just provide access to a static set of data, it's adding to it all the time. It claims to add over 185 million new records stolen from 40,000 computers each month. Well, it sounds to me like these people are computer hackers, and it sounds to me like they should be immediately picked up and immediately have the book thrown at them. Throw a big heavy book at them and then refuse to pick it off of them, and then, strip them of everything, take all of their assets, redistribute it among all their victims, flog the guy within an inch of his life, and then put him in the prison cell with Bubba. I mean, that's exactly what these people need. Is this legal? The startup seems to think so. There's no vetting of customers, though, at least for customer service, which makes us worry about how a cyber stalker or an abusive ex might use such a thing. Isn't that an interesting thing? So, of course, the laws were passed in the United States to restrict who can have access to your rental history when a couple of politicians had some kinky stuff on the internet. It's not the internet then. Had some kinky stuff released that they were watching from the video rental store. So maybe we just need to buy a few congressmen's stuff with this particular startup, and then, go and read them their browsing history in front of Congress or something. And maybe at some point in time, they might realize, let's crack down on the data broking. This is simply data broking. They're just data broking from a different source. It happens to be a source that was stolen with malware without any form of consent. But I don't even know if that, there's no consent anyway. I don't consent to Joe Blow's data collection scraping organization owning my data, but it probably exists somewhere. There's thousands of these things. I don't consent to any information that they have on me. I don't consent to them making money on selling that information. I do not consent to it. I've never done business with them. There is no legitimate reason they should have any information on me at all. We need very strict federal laws absolutely banning it, high-level felony, and if you get caught doing this, guess what? You lose access to computers for the rest of your life. How's that for cool? Let's do that kind of stuff. But the point is that all this identifiable information is just getting absolutely, totally crazy, out of control. And we really need to address this. The sharing of data has just gone crazy. All right, so next I want to move on to this one. I've talked about this before in passing, but there was an article that came up kind of tangential to it. So I want to talk about CCTV and children. And I want to cover first some laws. Now, the article we're covering is actually out of Australia. But I wanted to look at, here's, for example, South Carolina babysitting laws. This was just a nice site I found that had some information. Just very simple. And they said here, there's a lot of different information. I don't think this is the exact one I had. No, this is not the exact one. You can see that they flip through. Apparently I grabbed the wrong URL. All right, so this law firm covered a lot of the rules and regulations. I wish I actually gotten the original one for that. It's one of those cases where they have these scrolling site that, as you can see, well, you can't see, but I can see, it literally is changing the URL as I'm scrolling. So I think I lost what the original URL was. But the original URL dealt with the laws in the United States, and they basically said in the United States there's laws about where you can put cameras and informed consent. Parent has to provide permission for their child to be recorded. Cameras can only be put in common areas. It can't be put in changing areas, bathrooms, things like that. And what caused this to get a little bit of a discussion is to see about, in our case here, I wanted to look at the article here from Australia, from The Guardian. Hacking is now assumed. Experts raise the alarm about added risks of surveillance cameras in child care areas. So what's going on here is there's been some discussion about requiring CCTV in child care centers. And so there's been situations where workers at these places have abused the children, And they're thinking that running a bunch of CCTV cameras is going to facilitate that. Of course, if there's a lot of blind spots that all the employees and everybody knows about, I don't think it's actually going to help. But hey, maybe it can do something a little bit towards it. I mean, it's a weird one in this particular case. So they say here the state governments are considering mandating CCTV across all centers, with NSW, that's New South Wales, saying it will install cameras at centers with compliance, with serious compliance concerns under those investigation, and with other states considering implementing similar trials. So the question is that, or would CCTV cameras help or would it hurt? And they say that if the government made the cameras mandatory, they'd have to consider the funding support, installation, and maintenance of secure systems would cost tens of thousands of dollars per center, which is very true. And they say a reliance on CCTV as a safety measure is more difficult. Structural work in a sector might not be done, and the introduction of CCTV cameras into spaces where more than 1 million young children play, eat, and sleep pose significant child safety risks. So some researchers on this have a couple different concerns. It says here 2 concerns. I read this several times. I couldn't find the 2 concerns. But it says 2 concerns. The first is that it looks like a fix, but it creates the potential of unintended consequences. So what they're looking at is 17,000 centers across Australia, a lot of hours of images of children. How does that get stored safely? What happens if a parent does not want their child filmed? And Smith has concerns about hacking data storage with AI being used in conjunction with the footage to produce illegal and deeply harmful material. That does bring a question from the previous article that I wanted to show, that that website is horribly designed, and we lost the actual article we wanted to talk about. But in that article, one of the things they mention is children in foster care cannot be in a facility with CCTV cameras because they're considered a ward of the state, and the state kids can't be viewed by CCTV, which is an interesting law because I'm not sure if schools have applied to that. But that was one of the things that that law firm had said, which was an interesting thing to think about. Smith has concerns about hacking data storage, of course. This is certainly a big factor to keep in mind. We have to be worried about those things. So they had a case in Cambria a few years ago where the offending situation happened in a blind spot. There were cameras at this one. The guy still managed to do his disgusting stuff because he knew where the blind spots were. And obviously there needs to be blind spots. You know, you're talking about child care centers. You're talking about places where babies need changed, you know, and you can't have that on the CCTV, you know. And so what do you do? So Bryant also cites a case reported in 2021 where hackers who allegedly gained access to CCTV at some Australian child centers. So now we have the worry about hackers. The document says feeds are not monitored in real time. They do not capture audio. The cameras are not installed in bathrooms, nappy changing areas, or staff rooms. So that's the kind of the requirements for the government. They are not monitored in real time. They cannot capture audio, and you know there's private spaces responded. However, in their rules, parents can apply to get a footage of an incident involving their child. And so there's been this discussion about what do these have in this country. And I have been pondering this in the United States quite a bit. This is an article from 2022, which we actually covered on the Weekly News Roundup a number of years ago when this first came out. This would have been, about the summer 3 years ago. So I know I covered this article then. And for whatever reason, my highlights did not save on this one. This is just... been a weird week, guys. I'm just going to run with it. This is the article where they're talking about a number of these apps that are used in daycares and in children's camps. And I got to say, our camp, we don't use any of this nonsense. We didn't even have the infrastructure to have that type of stuff because internet doesn't work out there. So what they're focusing on here is Brightwheel. The author of the article for Wired here actually works with EFF and is a privacy concerned person who says, I wanted to take my child out to, child care for the first time, a little bit concerned, but now they found that the child care center uses Brightwheel, which basically allows you to check your kid in and out with a PIN number on the app and allows you to log in and see your child on CCTV footage and make sure they're doing well, and you get updates from the staff on the app. And that's all problematic stuff because, A, we know that these companies don't secure these networks as well. I mean, just ask McDonald's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's kind of an idiot combination an idiot would have in their luggage, you know. But, you know, the whole Brightwheel situation, they have 2FA finally, but at the same time, this is still an application that stores a whole lot of data about your child on central servers that we don't know what they're really doing with it. We don't know how long they're storing it. We don't know if there's a rogue employee there who's kind of a creep who's looking at all these videos as they're coming through. We don't have answers to these questions. And so this article addresses this. And why I wanted to talk about this, because it's been on my mind for a while, as we looked at starting with the time of the Koofy Koofs when kids were staying at home and doing school over Zoom, and parents got a chance to kind of listen in on what was going on with their classes. And they found there was a whole lot of weird, controversial stuff that was not instructional friendly stuff. And it caused a lot of parents to look at this and go, what are you teaching my children? This has nothing to do with the curriculum. And a lot of it was activists trying to be crazy psychos with your children because that's what activists do. They infiltrate and try and do their activist thing, and they try and convince kids of things that are not appropriate for kids to be convinced of. And because of this, I have this issue of I don't like cell phones in schools. I think that cell phones in schools can cause us serious problems, but inside of schools, a lot of the expose we have of the weird stuff going on is from kids with cell phones in schools. We understand that. And so what is a solution? One of the challenges is that nearly every solution for everything is all this cloud-based nonsense, which means all of this stuff goes on the internet, which it has no earthly reason going on the internet. So I would be in favor of classrooms having a camera pointed to where the teacher primarily teaches from that is recorded, audio and video recorded, only local in the school. And if a child goes home and says our teacher said something funky, then the IT, the principal, the parent can go in and look at the footage together. I think that that would solve almost all of the problems. So I looked at some articles about surveillance inside of schools, and it really wasn't an amazing circumstance here. So looking at this, and this is from Ed Week, so, you know, a journalist for educators. So surveillance cameras, social media monitoring, and other technology used in school security doesn't deliver on its promises and makes some students feel a lot less safe. So among the findings, about a third of the survey responded said they always feel like they're being watched. More than 1 in 10 said surveillance makes them feel anxious, exposed, paranoid, or violated. More than a quarter, 27%, worry about how the information gleaned from surveillance tech could be used to discipline them and their friends. 22% worry about how and whether that information could be shared with law enforcement. These are legitimate concerns. And this is why I do not think that cameras should be used inside of a school for security per se. They should be used inside of the school for accountability. And that might be a fine line, but what my proposal would be is a camera inside of a classroom primarily watching the teacher will capture anything objectionable that the teacher has to say, and it can only be viewed when there is a complaint. It has to be local only, so it can't go out over the internet, and it must be stored in such a way that a single IT guy can't even access it directly. That actually would be an interesting way to look at it. Now, this goes in just a little bit more about security cameras in this case didn't actually help. 8 of the 10 deadliest shoot-em-ups happened inside of schools with security cameras. Obviously, that didn't help. Also, if there's so many security cameras, you know, what's the point of them? Now, I would be in favor of security, active monitor, even AI monitored cameras outside of a school that could detect a situation that could be approaching or coming into the school. You think back to the church. I think it was the church, and I think it was in Minnesota. I think where the guy wanted to go in and do a mass shoot 'em up game, and he didn't make it in the front door. He got hit by a car and then taken out by the security guard. Of course, there's the politicians. Congratulations to the law enforcement. Law enforcement didn't do anything but clean up the mess. Okay, I mean, if those politicians had their way, they would not have had the ability to have their self-defense with them at that time. It would have become a bad circumstance. So I think that some form of actual live external monitoring of the school property outside is fine, but I don't think that type of stuff should be going on inside the school, assuming you're guarding the outside right, because you're going to foster a better environment if people are not deeply mistrusting on everything aside it. And really that's what I've been thinking about for a while. So I don't think that we should have phones in the schools, but we have to have a way that can demonstrate if a student says a teacher did something inappropriate, they have to have a means by which to review that without he said, she said scenarios coming up. And now we move into our last topic on our main topics today, and that is that anti-consumerism reaches peak crazy. Okay, I saw earlier in the comments here, because there's so much here, I'm not covering all of it. Somebody asked if we're doing the itch.io. No, we're not covering that. That just kind of, as far as I know, that happened today. Maybe that was yesterday. I didn't get a chance to look at all the news articles you guys left me on the Matrix server. It's just been too hectic of a week. I just kind of went with the things that I had. But yeah, there was the itch.io. They scrubbed a whole lot of stuff, even removing games from some of your libraries because Steam was threatened by the payment processors. That certainly is sort of anti-consumer, although that's not really what we're getting at. That's more of the payment processors went to punish Steam and Steam went into self-preservation mode. I understand that. I also did not have anything out of the Future Home in here. Which is an amazing situation where they basically said, yeah, we're just basically going to brick everything that you have starting in January 1. Louis Drossman offered a bounty for anybody who can get in there and revert the software. The guy's like, that's hacking. And he's like, no, it's not. You're hacking. You're the one that's actually getting in there and breaking something. I'm just allowing people to use it offline on their network, you know. And obviously that is a neat case to follow. And Louis Rossman's been doing a great job on those ones. I got a chance to watch some of those videos today, but we're not including those ones either. Trust me, I had plenty of my own that I encountered. I basically wanted to feature 3 of them. The first is Belkin. So Belkin shows tech firms are getting too comfortable with bricking customers' stuff. So this deals with the Wemo devices. So this is a lot of smart home techs all managed by this particular Belkin app. Starting on January 31st, they will stop supporting them. Not do they stop supporting them, but then they push a kill switch to them all. Boom, they're all dead. And so now they all stop working. Now there is a workaround. All the devices except 4 of them can be configured to work with an Apple Home Assistant system. So you can always, if you're using any of these, you can always convert to the Apple system. Of course, if they push the last firmware update to allow them to work with Home Assist, that would be awesome. But of course, they're not going to do that. That would be like pro-consumer or something. Companies can't possibly do that. They said the company said that people with affected devices under warranty on or after January 31st may be eligible for a partial refund starting in February. So once your stuff goes offline, you know, you can send it back and get like, I don't know, $5 or something. And of course, you can convert them over into Apple. And this even includes devices sold as recently as November of 2023. So we're talking devices that are really only a few, less than 2 years old at this point in time. They're just going to brick themselves. How wonderful. You paid all this stuff for things that get bricked. The Wemo app will also stop working and being updated, removing the simplest way to control the products, including connecting to Wi-Fi, monitoring usage, using timers, activating away mode, and basically they're going to push an update which kills all the features. People will still be able to use the affected devices if they configure them with Apple HomeKit before January 31st. So if you do use any of these, do that. They said for any Wemo devices that you have out of warranty will not work with HomeKit. If you're unable to use HomeKit, we recommend disposing the devices at an authorized e-waste recycling center. Guys, no, if you have these things, send them back to Belkin's home headquarters office. That's what you should do. If 10,000, let's say they sold 1 million of these, and 1 million of these go offline, if they get within 2 weeks 1 million packages of their own e-waste coming back to their corporate office, they might think twice about doing this kind of stuff. So I think we should do that. If you have any of these things and you can't work it with HomeKit, please do not waste properly authorized e-waste recycling it. No, put it in a box and send it back to Belkin. Will it cost you a few bucks? Yes, but it will be a very satisfying, especially if everybody jumps out and does the exact same thing. So, of course, Belkin's abandonment of most of its Wemo products is the latest example of IoT devices, the company ending product support and turning customer devices into e-waste. What Belkin is doing has become a way of life for connected device makers, suggesting that these companies are getting too comfortable with selling people products and then reducing those products' functionality later. So connected devices are central to many people's lives. Without a company like Belkin figuring out how to keep their and their customers' lights on, modern tech would look very different. And the thing is that Louis Rossmann is right. If you are getting any of these, make sure that they can work entirely offline without touching the internet through Home Assistant. Because if you do that, even if the company wants to send a firmware to brick the thing or change it later, they can't. The thing's not on the internet. And then, of course, you just need to make sure the thing doesn't go on the internet, at least during some update window. But that's not all. Dictionary.com... Who even knew people paid for Dictionary.com? Well, apparently if you did pay for it, you could prevent seeing ads and you could save a list of words and a bunch of other features and perks. Well, the company, without any notice or any warning at all, simply deleted all of the accounts of everybody. Even if you just renewed it recently, you just paid your 1-year subscription, they killed it. And then if anybody had said, hey, I just paid for a year service, they said, well, you can check our terms of service, and our terms of service says that app purchases are non-refundable. I'm sorry. I think if that's the case, you need to do a credit card reversal on it. They don't get to keep your money and then neuter your service, but that's exactly what Dictionary.com is doing because they're a bunch of idiots. Look up Dictionary.com and it might have the first couple letters of that in there as their name. Dick. Yeah. The company deleted all accounts as well as the only way to use Dictionary.com without seeing ads. So this whole thing was just to see more ads. If you previously paid for the ad-free experience. Basically, what they're pointing to is some studies that are suggesting that companies are tending right now to make more money on ads than they are even selling a service, basically selling a way to access the service without ads, which is probably why every one of the streaming services, they started like ad supported, or you can pay a little bit of money and not get the ads. Now they're pay us for the content, but you'll get ads. Pay us a lot of money and you don't get the ads. And so that's really is where they're at. Reports of Dictionary.com accounts being deleted and the app not working as expected, and within much of its content removed, started appearing online about 2 months ago. A Reddit user who described themselves as a premium customer said they reached out to Dictionary.com's support email and received a response saying in part, after careful consideration, user accounts within Dictionary.com app have been discontinued. As a result, users are no longer able to sign into their accounts, and any save word lists are no longer available. Unfortunately, since the coding technology was used in the previous app version is different from what is used in the new app, it's not possible to recover word lists, because we're morons. This change was in part of our recent app update to improve design, speed, functionality, and to push ever-ceasing ads all over you. Take that, sucker. Well, we understand this changes how you use Dictionary.com. We are hoping that you will find the overall improvements, much faster search, additional content, including those ads, a better design. Sincerely yours, Dictionary.com. So... No refunds, no warnings. They don't offer refunds for premium purchases and had a policy saying that all app purchases and in-app purchases final sales are not refundable since at least August of 2024. So if you have paid for a year and you've gotten less than that, you need to contact your credit card company and do a fund reversal. Maybe if all 1 million people were impacted by that and every single bank stops doing business with Dictionarycom for fraud, maybe they'll stop doing this crap. Dear. So their decision, various factors were involved in this. Similar logic among subscription streaming services, pushing cheaper ad-based tiers. Companies claim they generate more monthly revenue from users who watch ads than from ad-free subscribers who pay a higher monthly fee for the service. Well, I don't see any ads ever. Deleting accounts would always disappoint users, but Dictionary.com twisted the knife by not providing any warning. It's kind of like, when VPN Secure says, you mean we have to honor these, all of these lifetime subscribers? We'll just close the service. Not worth it. Screw you. Oh, how anti-consumer can we get? Oh, we do have a video game related one. Ubisoft doubles down on woke. Now it wants gamers to delete copies of the games if it tells them. That's right. So now bound up in the brand new EULA of Ubisoft. By the way, guys, if anybody in here buys any Ubisoft game in the future, you are contributing to the problem. Stop it. Just bankrupt the company, guys. Stop it. Okay. It's the same thing with Disney. Disney wants to use the money that it gets from selling their stuff to actually indoctrinate children. They have said this. If you care more about Baby Yoda than you care about your children, I don't have no words for you. Okay. And this is kind of where we are at here. So the EULA is effective from the earlier date you purchase, download, or use the product until terminated according to its terms. The EULA will terminate automatically if you fail to comply with any of the terms. So basically, you got to comply with all this. If you don't comply with any of it, the whole thing happens. And if that happens, you must destroy all physical products that you have. So now they're trying to say, in their ever-changing EULA, if you own a physical copy of an Ubisoft game and you don't comply perfectly with everything, they terminate the EULA on you, and that forces you to immediately uninstall everything and destroy the products. Well, I hope I have at least one Ubisoft game that I purchased years ago, because I got news for you, Ubisoft. I ain't doing it! You gotta come, steal it yourself, and force me to, neener. Unfortunately, I'm not a gamer, so I probably don't own an Ubisoft game. But the fact of the matter is, they have absolutely no authority to tell you to physically break a physical product you have in your hands. Are these people smoking crack cocaine? I mean, really, what is wrong with these people? If you don't do absolutely everything, we terminate the agreement. Upon termination, you must immediately uninstall everything we have from our name on it and destroy everything physical thing you have. No! You anti-consumer piece of garbage? Should the company stop offering or stop supporting their games? Like when the company goes bankrupt or has its assets sold, the EULA requires gamers to uninstall games they've already purchased. Yeah. Buy hard copies. Let's watch them enforce that. Let's watch them take this to a court of law. Your Honor, this is the EULA with the game that I had. They changed it to some software thing. I didn't agree to that. I just kept on playing the physical game I had. They want me to destroy it. What do you think? If the judge has anything more than to say than to laugh Ubisoft out of the courtroom, our legal system is done. Our legal system might be done anyway, but, that's, I guess, another matter. Well, there is our anti-consumerism. I'm sure there's about 10,000 other examples out there we can think of. But for now, we're going to take a few minutes, have a look at a few comments, and then we will go ahead and get back to the news. All right. We got over here, we got 17 on Rumble, PBJ, Sammy. The title has been prevalent theme on my mind recently. Awesome. Well, hopefully you enjoyed it. Greetings, Ivan. How goes thou? All right, we got 12 currently watching over on Odyssey. See a ton of dumpster fire we got going on over here. Vanix is on. Greetings. Any thought of these immutable distros? They're not my cup of tea, but I can understand the purpose for them. Vladimir is here. Greetings, Vladimir. Little hours here. They go. Imagine sending your children to public schools in the current year. I know, right? That's a dangerous prospect in and of itself. Going by the video title, BBC have a video about degrowth. Could degrowth save the world? I have no earthly idea. Agenda is global managed economy. Yes, agenda is. You'll own nothing and who cares if you're happy? Yes, yes. We had a situation like that at camp. I was put together the slideshow. Somehow I managed to get the slideshow together on top of everything else going on. But I asked the chaplain, I said, what song should we use? And they gave me the name of the song. I'm like, well, could not find a way. There was something wrong with the ability to download something. I was like, okay, I don't have access to that song. I asked around, hey, can anybody get this song, whatever else. And nobody knows what an MP3 is. Nobody has any concept of anything except I got it on Apple Music. Okay, can you get me an MP3? Huh? Like, nobody even knows what it means to own anything. I feel, how do these people go through life? How do you go through life if you do not own music? What if your whole life breaks down, the internet goes down for like a week at a time, and you just want to listen to your favorite music? I want you to think about that. Would you be able to listen to your favorite music if the internet goes off for a week? Think about that. Could you survive in that circumstance? But I think that is sadly their goal. Imagine buying Apple products in the current year. Yeah, pretty much. Program was probably fired and no one knows what's going on. Yeah. Okay. Ubisoft is close to going under. Yep. It'd be nice if they go over. Sure, Ubisoft, come right on in. No need to worry about why I'm locking my door behind you. More of a FLAC guy myself. Yeah, well, at least you know what a FLAC is. I'd hope people know what an MP3 is, but anyway. All right, we got 48 watching on Ztubies. Techno-minded, greetings. Anti-consumer stuff is cringe. If I don't own it, I will not be buying it. Yeah, that's the thing. Let's see now. Obviously, we did not talk about itch.io. I saw the itch.io stuff for the first time today. If anti-consumer means being relatively minimalist, then call me anti-consumer. Oh, no. It's not that. That's for sure. Greetings and salutations. I made it here this time. Awesome. I'm glad I made it here this time. We're like an hour and a half before the show. I was an hour in the mountains with like no cell signals anywhere. And for whatever reason, Starlink wasn't working. Maybe the Starlink just needed to go back and see civilization again. Good evening, FF. Greetings for you. Anyone raise quail asking for a friend? The king is in the house. Greetings. All right. Starlink was down for... Oh, was Starlink down for a while? Heard there was an outage going on with Starlink. Also hope your day is going good. Yeah, my day is going good. Oh, it's very, very good to know there was actually a Starlink issue. Good to know. And which it should be resolved by now because I got down here... once I got the news scheduled and ready to go, I threw the Starlink on my dashboard of the van onto my portable battery, and it booted right up. So it appears to be working now. So hopefully it continues to work throughout this week because I'll be up in camp one more week. So yuppers, the Skynet stuff is seriously getting out of control. Amen to that. Hello, KO2610, your number has been called. Ivan, if there's anything important on Matrix, let me know. Obviously, I haven't touched the graphene tablet in like 2 weeks. The battery is dead. Camera Advertising Network. There you go. No kidding. It's our own free will to fix our problems. Yeah. Uploaded a Terminal Copilot short a few days ago. Nice. So there are people who steal our data with malware. Go to jail. This is messed up. Yeah. I mean, that's insane. Let's see. Let's do maybe another. Let's do. Yeah, we'll just do another minute, and then we'll get to the rest of them later. He used to babysit for friends' family back in high school. Made Rust to create potentially make some DRM flow macros. Oh boy, welcome to the second dark age. Yep. No network required for the DRM. There you go. All these cameras, I might just think about staying inside. These cameras are a waste of money. To work it, to obscure source your code, we make more source code. Let's see. Hello, Night of Light. Greetings, greetings. All right, we'll pause on Commodore fans video and jump on over to Quick Lines. First up in Quick Lines, Linux on TV, the Plasma Big Screen gets some much needed TLC. So this was a project from a few years ago that kind of fell by the wayside. This is effectively a plasma skin for KDE Plasma that basically turns your TV into a smart TV. And basically this would be running on a computer. No, it doesn't install on your smart TV. Do you think that any of these companies would actually be giving us access to be able to install a custom ROM on our TV? I mean, that might make a smart TV cool, but no. So you'd have a computer set next to your TV, like some people do, but sometimes having the computer next to your TV is a little bit more inconvenient. And so what they did in this update here is they made it a lot easier to use, and then they did a lot of work with fixing several different game controllers to it. So you have a much better interface to run KDE on a television if that's what you're trying to use it. Just don't run my best buddy Cody there. Just don't do that. Originally launched in March 2020, it aimed to turn regular television sets into smart Linux-powered devices with a clean, remote-friendly interface, but over time, development slowed, and it quietly slipped out of most distribution repositories. However, a new developer is back in. Devin has made some solid progress bringing it back to life. Started small by cleaning up the repository, adding a README file, reuse license checker in the continuous integration, and porting QLM libraries, as well as declarative plugin. He basically streamlined some of the menus, made things work a little bit better, improved the settings for more of a TV setting, and then allowed you to use streamline the navigation, 2 side-by-side panels. And then here's just a bunch of other things, how to get stuff working back on the platform. So if you are interested, you can have a look at the source code over there. So that is what is going on with KDE Plasma. We will have another secure boot issue. So you folks using Linux with secure boot, you might need to turn it off again. So what's going on here is Microsoft's signing key is set to expire September 11th. There is a new replacement key since 2023, but most systems do not yet support it. And for those that don't recognize it, then it will mean that Linux will fail secure boot after this expires and the new one is not implemented. So make sure if you are using secure boot and you do not know if you have this new key, you might want to disable secure boot just so you do not get any interruptions coming in. Of course, that date is September 11th, 2025. So just over a month from now, like 6 or so weeks from now. So, of course, I don't even use secure boot at all. Secure boot's false security. It's like taking off your shoes going through the airport. What's this going to do? It just stinks up the place, you know. All right. UK may back down on demands for the backdoor access. Basically, JD Vance gave an evil eye, and they're like, okay, JD, you know. Pressure from Washington could lead UK government to climb down on its demand that Apple provide British law enforcement agencies a backdoor. So if the U.S. company resisted, they withdrew the end-to-end encryption. Basically, this is the ADP, I think, the Advanced Data Protection Service, the ADP service, which is even China allows it, I think. But when this is turned on, it allows your files on your phone to go end-to-end encrypted up to the iCloud. And that actually protects your files from being seen, allegedly even by Apple. So I guess the device, the decryption, I guess, is on your phone. I don't know exactly how it works or if that's completely true, if Apple can't even see it, or if it's just the in-transmission of data part. It's going to be one of those two. But as soon as the British government required them to see that, they actually disabled the decryption on the back end of all Apple devices and accounts inside of the UK, saying, "Yep, we got no encryption." Ha ha ha, you know. And so, of course, everywhere else in the world had that. Apparently, J.D. Vance had a conversation with him. Vance had previously criticized the crazy idea of creating a backdoor in our own technology networks that enemies could exploit even when they were established for domestic security purposes. So Apple, of course, had appealed this, but probably what we're going to see is either the appeal will be successful and Apple will win, or they'll kind of back down and kind of turn off from that. So we'll see what happens. That is still a developing case. This is good. Remember, of course, use 2FA. This is the only way to keep hackers out of your account. You know, now, of course, they're going to like, you got to use passkeys until the hackers figure out how to steal those too, you know. But hackers right now can bypass your FIDO MFA keys. Now, it's not every site that does this. A lot of this is it depends on how many different ways you have to verify MFA on your account. Because if you go to log into an account, so, you know, on my Google account, I have some passkeys set up. I also have some MFA set up. So I have a number of different ways to access what is on the Google account. I have a number of different things on there. And so looking at this, what they're doing here is hackers found a way to steal the login credentials for an account protected with FIDO. And then what they're going to do is they're going to phish you with a page that looks like the authentic page, only there is a bypass allowing you to use a QR code instead. And so if you're calling for a FIDO, they trigger the QR code, you verify with that, and then you end up tricking them into getting into their account. So even on accounts that are secured with a hardware FIDO key, like a YubiKey, even on those types of accounts, yeah, they can still actually get in. They're using the QR code alternative as a means to get into there. And so, yeah, it just goes to say, there's nothing we're going to be able to do to keep accounts completely secured. We need to do the best we can do, but we don't do that by forcing technologies that your common person does not understand. And that's why I am against this push to get rid of passwords. People do not understand accessing accounts without passwords. In fact, I talked to a guy today who worked in advanced technology stuff. He's retired now, but he worked in advanced technology stuff as I was explaining what Microsoft was doing, and he didn't even understand it. He's like, well, where's that at? Like, oh, it's tied to the computer. What? How do you, like, yeah. You know, how do you access it if you don't have that? How do you access it when your computer blows up? How do you access it when your phone goes on the fritz? How do you access it when the worst should happen in all of these circumstances? And that really is something to keep in mind. Oh, McDonald's. So, of course, McDonald's lays off a whole bunch of its hiring agents and brings on an AI system built by Perplexity. And, of course, now whenever you want to go and work with McDonald's, you just create an account through this McDonald's app and talk to the Perplexity AI bot. And then you get in here. Wasn't Perplex? It's Paradox, not Perplexity. Paradox. I'm sorry. Paradox AI. So I say, wasn't one of these the companies that was secretly just using cheap Indian developers to build all your apps? But what they did here is Paradox AI built this system. It had a major account, including the test account with username and password both set to 123456, and it utilized an insecure API. So if you went in with the basic login, if things were reasonably okay, but they looked around and said, oh, there's an admin login. So they clicked that, and just for fun, they just tried 123456 for both fields. And lo and behold, not only were able to get in, but we're able to get in with full administrative privileges and are able to see absolutely everything absolutely every person had done, submitted, and said to the bot, including taking all of those stupid personality tests. I got news for you. You don't need a personality to work at McDonald's. McDonald's, can you drop the personality test? It's just weird. Well, I want to work at your amazing team. You must pass our personality test. What personality test? Put the fries into the bag, dude. I mean, I know you got a degree in like women's studies or something. Yes, I would like ketchup. Come on, you know? I mean, really? The McHire administration interface for the restaurant owners accepts the default credentials and an insecure direct object reference on an internal API, allowing us to access any contacts and chats that we wanted. How wonderful. So this even includes taking the personality test by Traitify. Yeah, that's all I need. All I want to do is go to some McDonald's because I just want to get a little job, and then I have to go and take a personality test with a giant company that's collecting all of that data and then turning around and selling it to the LG TV to psychologically target me with ads. I'm sorry, this world is getting nuts. I need to put like one of those like pictures and lines all over the back of the van. Wouldn't that be fun? I don't know. That'd be cool. Even more concerning, they could access the chat history and the authentication tokens to impersonate applicants. How wonderful. So there you go. Don't trust the AI, folks. Don't trust the AI at all. How wonderful. All right, dangerous new malware is exploiting Windows accessibility tools. Of course, Windows accessibility is finally getting usable to the point where, people with disabilities can actually use it. So there's that. Well, as soon as that comes out, there's apparently a flaw in it, and Coyote is a banking Trojan. This one right now is targeting in Brazil, but what it does is Microsoft's UI automation for their new accessibility rules is able to read the URLs, and so the malware is able to read the URLs and then trick the victim. Basically, it reads the URLs and it checks if the URLs are on one of the approved lists. Basically, it's looking for banking URLs, specific banking URLs. And if it gets to one of those, it reloads the page onto a phishing page to steal all of your data. Isn't that awesome? So way to go. Once again, Windows demonstrates its pure, amazing security. Of course, I left out all the talk about the SitePoint, Microsoft snafu, even what nuclear commission websites were breached with that one this week. That's wonderful. So the banks usually goes after the Brazilian banks. There's a whole bunch of them. But they also do some crypto exchanges, Binance, Electrum, Bitcoin, Foxbit, and many more. And so that's definitely a little on the concerning side. How wonderful. And we had a data leak and an adoption agency. So, of course, you want to definitely keep your records in adoption. I'm just curious, why does an adoption agency need to have the records on the end? Why does most things that have, the records need to be on the internet? Kitty, do you know why? Do you know why they're on the internet? Because people are really stupid and they have no earthly idea what in the world's going on. I thought so, Kitty. I thought they were stupid. All right. So, yeah, but this adoption agency had 1 million records on the internet. So security researcher Jeremy Fowler found a publicly accessible database online contained highly personal information from an adoption agency. They did end up alerting the agency, and it was secured the following day. But in total, the unencrypted and non-password protected database involved 1 million records, including names of children, birth parents, adoptive parents, and other potentially sensitive information like case notes. There is no reason this needs to be on a database on the internet at all. I mean, this is insane. If your company is so big you have to centralize a database like this, your company is too big. It is too big to exist. Let's do away with too big to fail. This is too big to exist. We need to break it up. End it. It's a monopoly. It doesn't know how to secure data. A car crash. This is a new take on the AI call scams. The car crash victim calls mother for help and $15,000 of bail money, but it's actually an AI voice scam. Once again, here's another reminder, folks. Set up passwords with your family, not over the phone either, or in the presence of a smartphone. It's got to be like one of those secret meetings that you see on TV. Everyone puts their phones into a Faraday box, moves that box into the other room, disables everything, turns off all of the lights, and sits there quietly and going, we need to have a family password. I mean, it's got to be that crazy. It really does have to be that crazy, because they will listen to your phone. Okay. They will listen to your phone calls. They will listen to your apps. Your TV is spying on you. Did you know this? I know I sound like, if you're a first time here and you're like, who is this tinfoil hat crazy psycho? Dude, I have actual articles to back all these up. We've been covering this for years. This stuff is actually happening. So in this case, a woman in Florida was tricked into giving thousands of dollars to a scammer after her daughter's voice was AI cloned and used in a scam. So basically, the woman says she receives a call from someone who sounded just like her daughter. Woman on the other end was sobbing and crying just like her daughter, she said. She had been texting and driving, and that her phone had been taken away by the police. There was nobody, she says, there was nobody that convinced me it wasn't her. I know my daughter's cry. The man claiming to be her daughter's attorney allegedly took over the phone. He told Sharon that authorities were detaining her daughter and that she needed to provide $15,000 in cash for bail. He gave very specific instructions. Those instructions literally included, get that money together. I'm sending a person to your house to get it. So they know the daughter, they know the mother, they know the address. She withdrew the money, placed it in a box, and a driver picked it up. Okay, then she receives a new call informing her the pregnant woman's unborn child had died in the accident, but the family agreed not to sue if they paid them $30,000. So luckily for Sharon, her grandson wasn't an idiot. And didn't trust the whole thing and decided to call her daughter's number. The call was answered by her daughter, who was at work and unaware that anything had been going on. First lesson, if some family member of yours calls you up crying about something, why don't you go to another phone and call their number back? Or say, oh, whoops, the phone got hung up, and then call them right back. I bet you're going to get them. Says it was too late for the $15,000. Fortunately, the grandson stepped in before the $30,000 went. My husband and I are recently retired. That money is our savings, she said. Many of our voices are online via video, audio, and that's been posted to social media. Of course, how do you stay away from these things? Well, don't answer calls from unknown callers. One of the ways they do is they're just calling you. So, like some of these people are just calling you. They're just calling you to collect your voice samples. Yeah, that's interesting. Agree on a family password only you and your loved ones know about. Don't ever post a message online. Treat this like that secret backdoor meeting. All phones go into a Faraday box. You're not in a room with a television, a phone, or any other form of electrical equipment. Shut out the lights and secretly and quietly talk to each other. Maybe write it all on a piece of paper and do the meeting silently and burn the paper at the end of the day. I don't know. If you've forgotten the password, ask about a long ago memory that hasn't featured on social media. There you go. And don't try to handle situations alone. Find a family-friendly member or friendly neighbor who can sensitively guide you. And if you decide you don't trust the situation, call the number you have for the relative or use the other channels to contact them. Whether you've fallen for the scam or not, report the incident to the local authorities, which are going to do nothing, the FTC, which will do a bigger share of nothing, or relevant consumer protection bodies, which have all been neutered. So, it's just a wild west out there, folks. Just don't be dumb. All right, surprising no one, new research says AI overviews can cause massive drops in search clicks. By the way, this was Google's goal. Remember that interview from Eric Schmidt years back? He says when you go to Google and you type something in and you see a page of responses, that's too many. We shouldn't do that. You should just type into Google and we should get you your answer. That's what they're trying to do, folks. And it's called brainwashing. It's assuming that they're 100% right on everything. And I got news for you. They're pretty much wrong on about everything. Okay, you need multiple different viewpoints. You need multiple different links. Unfortunately, right now, what's happening is the internet is completely full of AI slop. So not only do I get AI slop there, then I get AI slop. I got to scroll past the AI slop and then read 30 pages of AI slop. And that kind of is the problem. Guys, the internet's dead. Go back to the library, read real books again. I think that's our only hope. I'm pretty sure. But Google search results have undergone a seismic shift over the past year as AI fever has continued to escalate among big tech giants. People are sick of this stuff, by the way. New analysis from Pew Research Basically, Google contends the Gemini-based answers do not take away traffic from websites. Websites are kind of mad at Google, saying, hey, you're doing this crap and it's preventing people from clicking. Google's like, it doesn't take away any of your clicks. People are still clicking. And a Pew Research analysis actually says otherwise. They say many sites, including this one, have noticed significant changes to their traffic in the wake of this move. But Google has brushed off concerns about how this could affect sites from which it collects the data. And so the analysis shows that among the test group, they were much less likely to click on search results when the page included an AI overview. So pages with an AI summary in the dark blue, pages without an AI summary in the light blue. So click on a link in the summary, 1, and of course NA. Clicking on a link from search results, 8 to 15. Ending the browsing session, 26 to 16. Continuing Google search, 32 to 35. And leaving Google to browse a different site, 34 to 33. So, of course, Google has also on several occasions claimed people clicked the links cited in AI overviews, but the Pew Research found only 1% of AI overviews produced a click on a source. Perhaps more troubling, Google users are more likely to end their browsing session after seeing the AI, suggesting that people are just trusting the information generated by the robot. And that is how we get glue put on pizza and Pizza Hut. Wonderful. The trends are bad for web publishing, but Google's profits have never been higher. Funny how that works. Oh, wonderful. And, of course, you suckers still using Gmail. Sorry. But Gmail is now testing ads. Awesome. It's in the promotions tab, but come on. Google experimented with a new Gmail ad format that turns promotions tab into a mini shopping experience. Just what I wanted. I go to my email to see if I have my list of allergen students, and all of a sudden I'm getting sold a new car or something. I don't know. So what's new? Visually rich ad unit appears in Gmail Promotions tab. The ad showcases a featured product plus image plus brand up front. On click, it expands to show multiple product tiles side by side, including product image, name, price, average star rating, and promo labels such as free shipping. How wonderful. There you go. Here's your new post here. Here's this. Here's a message. Here's an email. Hey, here's a promo. Yeah, click on the promo. Look at all this. Awesome. Want to buy some crap? I see it. I see that you just bought some stuff. Let me show you more stuff that's relevant. I've been reading your emails after all. So there you go, guys. There you go. Gmail's at it again, folks. Gmail's at it again. Let's get more ads in there. Come on. All right, guys, we got to do it. We are going to run over to Sillyville. And, of course, first up in Sillyville, new research center to explore how AI can help humans speak to their pets. Yes, idiocracy. It embraces me. It embraces me. AI embraces me. Yeah. So they want to talk to our pets now. If your cat's sulking, your dog's whining, or your rabbit's doing that strange things with paws again, you'll recognize the familiar pang of guilt shared by most pet owners. If you have a pang of guilt over your bunny doing something weird with his paw, go see a psychiatrist. Yeah, the problem isn't with your bunny. It's not. It's not with your bunny, folks. It's not with your bunny. All right. We have reached this weird delusion with our pets these days. It's a pet. It's a dog. It's a cat. It's a rabbit. It's a hamster. It's a gerbil. One of the most eye-catching projects will be to explore how AI can help humans speak with their pets, the dangers of it going wrong, and what we need to do to prevent that happening. We, like our pets, like to display human characteristics with the advent of AI. I got news for you. Your pet does not exhibit human characteristics. Unless you're a slave owner. If you're hiring illegal immigrant children to pick your weed, let the slaves go. Okay? Do it. Just let the slaves go. That's not a pet. That's a person. But we like our pets to display human characteristics. And with the advent of AI, the ways in which your pet will be able to speak to you is going to be taken to a whole new level. No, it won't. No, it won't. I can just imagine a year or two from now, we're going to see people that don't leave their house because they're engaged in a philosophical argument with their dog. It's Kind of like that insomniac atheist dyslexic, right? He's up all night wondering if there really is a dog. Well, this guy in this world can talk to the dog all night long. He'll have a conversation going for 3 weeks. He wouldn't even know what's going on. He's going to lose his mind. Will Joaquin Phoenix come back for the sequel? It'll be called Fido. That's it. But AI often generates made-up responses that please the user rather than being anchored in objective reality. This could be a disaster to pets' welfare. Just don't try and analyze your pet's emotions on AI. Birch points to separation anxiety. Dog owners who want reassurance that their pet is not suffering when left alone for long periods. Futuristic translation apps based on large language models could promise to provide that reassurance, but end up causing harm by telling owners what they want to hear rather than what the animal actually needs. AI is not going to be able to tell you what your dog actually needs. Your dog needs food. Your dog needs water. Your dog needs to go outside every 12 or so hours or less, 8 to 12 hours. We have reached a peak of sheer stupidity. I'm not sure. Maybe we should change this from Sillyville to incorporating idiocracy. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Well, this miniature therapy horse plays the piano to wake up kids from anesthesia, and the comments are perfect. Worst trip ever. Yes. So first, the video. Okay. Enough of that in case it's copyrighted for some weird reason. Okay. So a kid goes into surgery, gets passed out on the weirdest drugs that kid has ever seen, and wakes up in the hospital to a horse playing a piano. What the hell's wrong with these people? Do we have another one? Wonderful. Okay. So the comments are great. If I wake up from anesthesia and see a horse playing the piano with its face, I'm assuming the surgery was failure and I'm dead. All right. True that. True that. All right. If I were bedridden in pain, this is the last thing I'd want to see. How poor to have to be to end up at the donkey hospital. If I were drugged and this woke me up, I definitely think I was still under the influence. I need this tiny horse to do this as my alarm every day. This should be the standard of care in the golden age. Okay, she's in stable condition. Send her a piano-playing pony. It's like waking up to your 90s alarm clock, but worse. Worst trip ever. Put me back under, please. Tovin. I think I saw him open for Bruce Springsteen once. No, that was Bruce Springsteen himself, right? Everyone leaving that hospital tells their family the same story about how the drugs are so good they saw a horse playing the piano in their room. Imagine waking up from a life-changing surgery to an absolute banger like this. Yeah. So I'm not sure if this type of therapy I'd like to wake up to in the hospital, though. I don't know. It's a little out there. And don't worry, guys. China's just creating an army of mind-controlled cyborg bees. Yes. Yes. Cyborg bees. All right, so they basically have little antennae on top of these guys. They're drilling these into their brain stems, and then they can control the bees to go left or right based on these specific impulses, and then they mount the bees with tiny cameras. So, you know, anytime you see a bee now, you might want to swat it down and then examine it closely for microtech embedded in the bee, because it's getting to be that world right now. The device strapped to the back of the worker bee and pierces its brain with 3 needles to instruct it to fly in specific directions. That's right. So they recently developed the world's lightest brain controller, weighing only 74 milligrams, which is less than a pinch of salt. The micro device can be equipped with cameras, listening devices, and sensors that allow the insects to collect and record information, which can then be relayed back to the operator. How wonderful. Now, among everything else we have to worry about the bees spying on us with audio-visual surveillance controlled by the Chinese hackers that have infiltrated our backdoor tapping circumstances. And that is why, UK, we don't want backdoors in the technology. All right, folks, we do not have our kitty cam to feed the beasts today because my bed is completely covered in a bunch of stuff that I have been working on, and I do need to grab my phone. Somebody just texted me, and I was waiting to see if anybody needs something. We will be right on back, and we will cover comments until the comments dry up. The phone was closer than I thought it was. Let's see. Okay, I don't need to respond to that one right now. All right, let's see. Going back on over here to Rumble 14. Thinking the minimalist thing too. Still enjoy the show though. All right. Yeah, I mean, no, minimalism itself is, I wouldn't say minimalism is anti-consumer. What I would say is that minimalism is a consumer. So it's not anti-consumer because the minimalist still buys the things they need and the things that bring them joy in life. But an a-consumer would be a person that is not caught up in the consumer trap. So we are not against consumerism. We're not caught up in consumerism. Advertising doesn't work on us all that much because we have found our center outside of things. But that is an interesting conversation anyway. Excuse me. All right. What do we got on Odyssey? We got 14 currently watching on Odyssey. And let's see what I got here. 24 minutes ago. All right. Crazy when China is more free for some reason. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Agreement with other places, trying to rush to Brazil. The iCloud backup issue is Apple's fault to begin with. Enable it by default, which most people hardly change. Some people are now basically held hostage by Apple. Yep. Degree in gender studies, LOL. Alternatively, staring at your nave and genitalia for 3 years. Pretty much, yes. Let's see. Cloud, mainframe computer. But hey, don't think of the clouds in the sky. Yep. Hate cloud services. It's about being connected to spyware 24/7. That's right. Worked for a company many years ago. Its motto was one name, one brand, one company. Well, that's terrifying. Money is heat and food coupons. Yep. Social media use, basically commentating here on the forum. Zero-click internet. Yep. Imagine still using Google. Yep. The only service by those a-holes is YouTube. Yep. Anyone still thinking about this? Right. Is anyone still thinking? Wait, is anyone still thinking this is about sell your stuff? Sell you stuff ain't using brain. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's all just buy. I have a book on AI from the 80s. Nothing new has happened. Yeah. My fish is depressed. Well, if you just use the AI to talk to your fish, and you can have a good conversation with your fish, and then that'll be it. My fish thinks it's gay. What should I do? Get it another boy fish to be friends with, I guess. I don't know. It'd be nice to have an emotional support bobcat. There you go. Yes, I'm stressed out. Bobcat, rip his face off. There you go. Think that to be fantasy. Uh-oh. Release the bees. Anti-China propaganda is getting ridiculous. Yeah. Countries are just people energy farms. Yeah, pretty much. All right, back over on Ztubies. What do we got on Ztubies? We got 46. I think we peaked at, what did we peak at? And we peaked just under 60 today. All right. Cameras should be optional for providers with parents deciding to use the daycare center or not. The fact that there are dead zones make cameras irrelevant. Yeah. Groomed to their side. They believed instead of just having family and raising their own. Let's see. Oh, boy. Oh, come on. I got a super chat in there. It's $2 super chat from Cyborg. Why, thank you. Thank you for the great content. Awesome. Appreciate it. And let's see. Lazy activists going after malleable instead of engaging adults and convincing adults with real logic. Well, because they don't have any real logic. That's the problem. Their whole real logic is, a boy is whatever he wants to be. And you can sit back and say, no, a boy is scientifically a person with a Y chromosome. No, that's homophobic. All right, retard. It's like, what? You're telling me that pure postmodern relativity, like physical relativity, is science? Then science doesn't have a purpose. It's crazy. Crazy. What's with the crowns? I think it's a new YouTube thing. I have no idea. Some new YouTube thing lets you know you're the talkingest person on the chat, I guess. I don't know. It's time to start using DIY-powered Raspberry Pi. Too much smart devices means you're now dumb. That's a possibility. Yep. Typeflow macros, Rust, that create your projects. Wait, what? Hear that Windows SharePoint just got hacked. Yes. I was going to do that as a main story, but there was just so much data I couldn't cover it in time. Mapping is a tool originally used to assert property claims. Biblical times. Can facial recognition mapping be legally interpreted as a property claim? Possibly. I have mapped your face. You now belong to me. Now get in my weed field and pick my weed. Slave. Might be setting a switch to Linux can change. Yeah. Nest Thermostat Online got nuked for my version. Oh, no. LAN Smart Home. Yep. Charge back. Still works. Sick the banks on me. Just no network access for it anymore. Belkin, it appears a local account is important after all. Yep. Yeah, these crowns are absolutely annoying. Can I turn those off? It's like I see this as a list of crowns, like really annoying. I'll have to find some CSS code to get rid of it or something. Smart bulbs last a long time, but I don't like it needs the cloud. Yeah. That's right. Some hacker on the internet knows when your light bulb's turned on or off. Hopefully you're tricking it with a timer of some form that's not on the internet. Because like, no, this guy has some timers over here that are going on and off. We know when he's home or not. This thing's on a physical timer. Somebody gets in there. What's going on? This thing is on some antiquated offline timer. Okay. That's an IcoBoards or FPGA for Raspberry Pis. Just need a high-speed ADC to hook it up. Down with Steam. Down with online-only games. Yep. Recently been in a chai tea mood. There you go. Smart. Self-monitoring and reporting to whom. There you go. I wonder if you could record Apple Music using Audacity. Yes, I could do that, but we just had too many variables going on. So, and the problem is I was trying to delegate tasks to people, but fortunately we had one of our counselors I was working with actually works in an AWS data center. So I'm like, here's my Linux computer. You get copies of everybody's photos for me because I don't got time. So I had one guy there that knew how to use a good computer to get all of the stuff. And he did an awesome job. And I went to sleep with my 10-year-olds and he stayed up late and got my photos organized. Thank you, friend. Thank you. But yeah, most people though don't know how basic stuff works anymore. And that's what their goal has been. It's to dumb you down so much you're dependent on their tech, and we need to put an end to that. All right. Yes, I noticed Microsoft's trying to get the other websites to use passkeys. Yeah. We peaked at TOTP. Yep. And we have the technology to use the offline ones. My friend who doesn't do things with computers or accounts, his work, they require him to have a one-time password thing. He's like, I don't have a smartphone. So by university policy, they gave him a one-time password key generator. It works great. He says, I have no idea how this mystery box works, but I go into the site to log in. I push this mystical, magical button that somehow just sits on the desk. I get a code and it works. He's like, I have no idea, but it works. I mean, that's what we need. We just need that. Typo curse followed me to YouTube. Uh-oh. Northern Chimp, greetings to you. How are you? The cone of silence. The cone of shame. All right. I want to know the adoption agency shady stuff. Is that leaked too? Oh, probably not. No. That was at the rock concert too, I guess. I don't know. We need to start buying stuff like CDs and books again. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm not opposed to digital books as long as they're independent files that I can store and back up. DuckDuckGo just released a non-AI filter for image search. There you go. Artificial intelligence is actually artificial information. Intelligence involves reasoning. Yes. Matrix, Cheesecake, read real books. I sure hope Fahrenheit 451 hasn't happened yet. Oh, it's happening. It's happening. Meow, meow, bark, bark, bark. That's right. That is a hot take. The shaggy dog comes to real life. Yeah. All right. Scooby-Dooby-Dooby-Doo. Ladybird might be a great eventual. Yep. Just don't use Comet. Comet browsers out. Avoid it. I want food. I want pet. I want play. I want treat. I want outside. I want walk. What more is there? Yeah. Put me under again. I see a piano playing horse. Can't wait for this tech to use pets to promote the leftist PS. That's right. Your cat thinks you haven't shown enough pride this month. Having a conversation with my cat. My cat's like, where's your pride flag? Cat, you're going to get stranded in Oklahoma. Shut up. Oh, dear. Reality is weirder than fiction. Yeah, OMG, piano horse. Oh, no. They mixed up sodium pants with all of the LSD. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. It was so good, I lost my place. There we go. Found it. I'm a more selective consumer. There you go. I hoard hardware dev boards. I have a problem. Hi, Andrew. It's been 1 day since I bought my last board. Disable any app I'm not permitted to uninstall. Yeah. For plugs in my personal projects, no problem. Yeah, the crowns are moronic. They are literally in my way. Crowns are another fuel for mass ADD, ADHD. Always clicking, always getting, oh no, somebody else beat me to crown number 1. I got to comment more. And that just makes the comment feed go bigger, full of stuff that isn't particularly relevant. So now I got to kind of decide if I'm actually going to read it or not. Sign into YouTube, go to settings, select privacy. In the live chat section, toggle off the leaderboard by selecting turn off leaderboard participant pins. Yeah, I don't have that option here, but I might have to do that later. Must keep the crown. That's right. Oh, techno-minded, beat you, cyborg. Start buying games from GOG Galaxy. They just need controller, driver, and support, and Steam is finished. There you go. I should go check that out sometime. Well, if I played more games, but, you know. All right, I think we've gotten to the bottom of our comments. Let's see. Anti-consumer equals policies by a company that harm the consumer. A consumer or minimalist is not anti-consumer. Yes, that is correct. All right. All right, I think we've gotten to the bottom of our comment feed. Sorry I didn't get a chance to feed the beast, but I'll let the beast close out the show. You want to close out the show, buddy? Come here. Let your paw off of my shirt. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux. We will be on reduced videos for a couple of days. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you back as soon as we see you again. Later, all, and gimme kitty treats.
Thanks for watching, all. We'll catch you.